That's what the ABA, that's what the Soul Power did for me. When I saw it, I've seen it 3 times, all the episodes. So, I mean, from John Brisker to all the, I mean, Warren Jabali. I mean, what?
Mm. Yes, sir. I love that. I love that analogy, man, because I didn't. I'm like Brett. I'm a sports nerd, man. I look up everything. I thought I knew everything about, the generation. That's why I love what you said at the start, William, about a lost generation. Because because the age we are, like I knew Doc, I knew Kareem, I even knew Bill Russell and Havlicek and all the guys before them, kind of like that group. That's Jerry West and Bill Baylor before them. But this group here, it's like I knew them in the '60s. I knew the '80s, but this group in the '70s was lost.
Yes.
And so I didn't really know about Spencer Haywood, and I didn't know that much about Rick Barry, and I didn't know that much, and I really didn't know that much about Doc, to be real. I knew Doc. You said small throw Doc. I knew small throw Doc going up in the basket against the Lakers and dunking on Michael Cooper on the break. Like I knew that Doc. So when we got into this story, we started to look at these characters and see them play. I'm gonna tell you, just like your boy Common from the Shy said. Common watched when we sat down with Common in Brooklyn. In that episode, you see that's very real. He sat down. He was like, hold up, man. The way these guys are playing, I ain't never seen nobody play like this in the '60s or '70s. There's something fresh about the way they move and the fluidity of their game, and it looks more like the game we see now. And so it was a revelation, man, to meet these players and watch the footage and see like a little guard like Matt Calvin, who I'd never heard of, who's like 5'10", nasty with the dribble, nasty, but you can't stay in front of him. He's just cutting up these teams. I'm like, I never heard of this guy. I didn't know he existed. George McGinnis, I heard the name before, but I never seen him play at his peak. His peak wasn't in the NBA with the Sixers. His peak was with the Indiana Pacers. And he's so big. He's the only dude I've seen. He's built like LeBron. You see him run the court. He's built like LeBron. He can fly. He's get up on the court. People getting out the way. I never seen nothing like that before. Like the honor it was to bring shine to these great, great players. Like you said, to pull that cover off and let it out. All I had to do was pull the cover off. And thankfully we had the footage and we had the images to let them just be them, because they deserve every bit of shine, every bit of validation they get.
The footage was crazy.
Hey, and speaking to that, the footage, I'm glad you guys left it grainy. I'm glad you didn't try to go spend some money and try to jazz it up and make it, the colorization. No, you guys left the footage grainy, like you was watching it on the ABA TV back in the '70s.
Yeah, that was a blessing, man. That's the NFL Films training, because it was film. It was real film that had been transferred. We don't get to see that anymore. And to me, if you're a sports documentarian, the best window of time for the best looking footage is 1970 to 1975. Like in those years, they had master film and color, and no video existed yet. So people weren't trying to do video, which was cheap, make it cheaper and stuff.
Right.
So if you ever get a chance to do a movie, I encourage every young filmmaker to tell a story in that range, 70 to 75, just in that range. I've done 3 movies now in that range. And if you get a chance, it looks so beautiful. The colors are so vivid. It looks incredible. And we were perfectly placed right in that range. So that was just like, that's one of the things that's just like serendipity.
I'll just say to add just a couple of details to what Kenan was talking about. I had always just heard, there was this really great slam dunk contest in 1976. It was really great. Right. It was Doc and Ice and all these guys. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what the ABA was. It was just that slam dunk contest. Like, as you see in the series, like that's the end. Like that is or not quite, but it's almost the end. And there's so much that came before that and led up to that, even to this place where you would have a slam dunk contest, unlike we see today, where there's 4 Hall of Famers competing in the slam dunk contest, like crazy. Yep. I mean, in terms of like these unbelievably talented people and players, doing their thing, showing their thing. But I had also heard everyone had always gone, the 70s sucked. The 70s basketball sucked. It was great in the 50s and 60s. It got better and better. The Globetrotters, and you had some stuff. And then you had the UCLA dynasty, but the 70s NBA sucked. Well, here's why. You know exactly why. And it's because the talent was dispersed amongst 2 leagues. And the leagues were battling each other in the most ferocious of business, cultural, and talent terms. And so, both of them were kind of diluted. And so maybe it wasn't as good from an NBA product standpoint, but the collective is what you saw. And you go, oh, shit, like every decade of basketball has built on itself. And the 70s was talented. It just had a different element to it. And then the 80s was, you know, Magic and Larry and Michael and on we've gone to the point at which we're today. And that's been extremely validating. The most rewarding thing by far of all of this is when I've talked to or seen the ABA guys. I was texting earlier this week with David Thompson, and he's like, I need a Soul Power hoodie. Give me a Soul Power hoodie. And I'm like, there's nothing that feels better than those guys feeling validated by this. That is, as we get older, you know, you want your kids to listen to you. You want people to sort of respect you. And now we've given them respect and shine, and it feels better than anything that could have happened here.
It's it's well deserved, man. And sure, man, those guys, I mean, and the thing about it, Will, just think about it. You know, I'm born in 72. Will, you born in what, 70, 71?
71.
71. So my dad, you know, he the one introduced me to the ABA. I used to sit down and watch these games. And for you guys to keep those guys and show that they wasn't afraid and to show where they came from. You went back to the playgrounds, to the Rucker. I mean, where these guys, I've never seen no NBA players talk about where they played from, coming from, you know, the playground and all of that. You guys inserted that and was like, you got Spencer Haywood, Connie Hawkins, Dr. J, you got, man, I mean, that was just amazing to see. Like, damn, most of these guys come from the playground.
It's so crazy when I watch the film, because I'm like, Agee, man, I done watched it so many times. I done watched it with my kids. Like, what's so great, what I love about it is all of the little stories that y'all built into the big story. Like, I have to admit, when I thought ABA, I didn't think white basketball players. I just didn't. I assumed that, you know, that was one of the reasons why they wanted to shut the ABA down, because it was too much of a black league, and, you know, these players out there not playing basketball the right way. You know, and so I'm seeing that. But then I see the human side of it. Man, these guys they have not been taken care of. They've been forgotten. And then I see the bragging side. Y'all had dudes on there like, hey, listen, they was still like, you know, if we need to go right now, we can go right now.
That's Iceman. That's Iceman. Yeah, I love Ice. He's like, y'all don't know what this league was about. We about to show y'all something. Like, that attitude, man. And you know what? It was a mission too that we had, that Brett and I stylistically had, to tell the story in a way that 22-year-olds will want to see it. That people our age who were too young probably to have ever seen ABA games want to see it. So like the Rucker, episode 2. Dr. J, his upbringing, his structure, his foundation. Notice when we take you back to the Rucker, listen to the music when it comes on. Like that beat.
I love the soundtrack. First of all, I love the soundtrack.
Like,
that's the first thing I heard was the soundtrack.
Yeah, we made on purpose, but we try to make it where the music is fire. So when you hear it, it's something we would like, because Dr. J, Rick Barry, and those guys, they're going to be honored no matter what. Right? Third generation is going to watch no matter what, because it's their story. But how do I make it where people our age like it, where my son likes it? Like you said, your son at Houston Baptist will, like, where he watched like, damn, okay, what's up with this? Like, notice the music we put in, everything. We did that on purpose to make an old story feel new, because that's the only way to really validate it. Is if we made the series and only people who are 70 and above liked it, we would have, to me, lost. We would have failed. Yep. If we made it where if a 7-year-old and a 40-year-old loves it, that's good. But if a 70-year-old, a 40-year-old, and a 19-year-old are watching like, damn, this is fire, then we win. And so when you see the style of it, we got a lot of young crew members. We had a lot of young editors who were working on it. We had a whole team of young people who were on the storytelling team on purpose. Because you want them to add that flair and that flavor. So when you see it, like I think of us, all the people, Nia Simone on the team, John Householder, Fawn Harris Holley, like we had Austin, we had all these guys, Elijah Diarra Suba, Sasha Shapiro, Corey Jackson. These are young people who were 25 and younger when they worked on this thing. Some of them were still in college. And we got them on the team in purpose because we wanted them to put that flavor on it. And it was beautiful to watch them on set, man. You should see Agee, like to see them on set, be like, wait, when that happened? Wait, what? Like they had never heard this story at all. They knew nothing about the ABA. So to see them getting into it gave us juice, because gave us energy, because we're like, okay, if these young people are into it like this, we know we're not going down the right path.
Yeah, yeah. What was researching the footage like? Going to grab all that footage like? What was that process?
Yeah, I let Brad hit there because we got fortunate. We found one treasure chest, which doesn't normally happen. We found a treasure chest right off the top. So
it was one of those moments where, you know, we're not going to sit here and say people hadn't considered the idea of telling the ABA story, right? Like that, it had been, there was a few that knew, like, okay, wait a second, there's a treasure trove there. Like you should go find that. One of the reasons it hadn't happened was because you had to find the right archival assets. You had to find the right research assets. One of the first hires that Kenan made, I'll get to the story he's talking about in a second, but one of the first hires Kenan made was a research producer, a guy who's done a lot of work with Ken Burns. His name is Steven Sowers. And that was early on. And it was like, okay, wait a second. This is what right looks like. It's got to look like this and this and this, and it's not this and this and this, and starting to formulate not only what right looks like, but how to create that narrative flow. I mean, one of the things that you probably are feeling, especially if you've seen it a few times, is that Soul Power flows really well. It moves really quickly. You go through an hour and you're like, oh, that was really fast. And that was intentional, because there were so many times Kenan was like, I was like, we got to have the John Brisker story. We got to have the Utah Star story. We got to, and he's like, oh, it's not to say it's not great. It just doesn't fit in this continuous flow that I'm envisioning here. And he was spot on, because the thing flows like just a smooth river in the way that it works right now. So that's that. The second one, though, the real gem was, and I remember we were filming early on with Bob Costas, and I got a call back on a cold outreach I had made to a weird website. It was called Remember the ABA, and it was their website was really shitty, but it looked like they had a lot of interesting archival assets, like still images. And the guy calls me back, and I said, wait a second, I'm seeing a 303 area code. Are you calling me from Denver? He goes, yeah, I'm based in Denver. And I go, I'm not in Denver right now, but I'm from, and he goes, yeah, I got a really large ABA library of stuff. And I'm like, how large? And he's like 60,000 images. And I'm like, come on now. Like, come on. And you own that? He goes, I grew up in Denver in the 70s. I'm a tax attorney. It turns out this guy's a very, very successful tax attorney. I'm a tax attorney, so I'm meticulous in my organization and structuring of content, because I got to do that as a tax attorney, as a guy who deals with accountants and otherwise. And he has, I mean, guys, I'm telling you, you could say, I want a picture of Lonnie Lynn, that's Common's dad, from 1969 playing for the Denver Rockets on the court with Spencer Haywood. He'd probably find it for you. He probably has that picture and could go find it quickly for you. And that was a huge, huge part of this. Now, we found some great video assets and video partners too, but knowing that still library existed, which I think Kenan used beautifully in terms of the stills add a really nice element. And just like he was talking about video, there's some beautiful stills from that era, beautiful in terms of how they were shot, pristine. And that was, that gave us hope that we could find the goods.
The Collector, that's what we called him, the Collector. Arthur from Denver, the Collector.
The Collector.
Yeah. It was amazing, man. We go to his house, and it was like, he's an incredible Russian stamp collection, like stuff like that. He opens these beautiful drawers and pulls out. He goes, let's go down to the basement. That's where the ABA stuff is. Go down to the basement, and just like, you open these drawers, just file after file of incredible photos, covers of programs from games. It was like I admire that, the ability to be that patient and that diligent to be able to put together a collection like that. So that was a big day. We found the Collector.
But I'm sure that also helped with your timeline too, like that. His being meticulous in that way probably put a lot of things in order for you guys. Like he almost, in a sense, co-produced some of it with his still shots.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And then we had the same type of thing happen with footage, where this was very, like I said, serendipity. God was on our side with this one, because we found a huge footage treasure chest the same way, where someone had happened to have just gathered in the last 18 months before we started all the ABA footage into one place. and they gathered it all onto, and they digitized it. So it wasn't on film, it wasn't on tape, it was all digitized, all lined up, all wrote. And so that we got access to that. And so we got that, so that was a huge source. Our guys at Flagstaff over there, George Roy and Steve Stern, like they did a great job collecting, and we worked with them on that collection. And so it all kind of fell into place for us. And that's how, you guys know, sometimes when things are right, that's how things go. They fall into place for you. And that kept happening with this. It kept happening. One thing would fall after another. And I kept getting that feeling because, as creators, like of the things that you try, if you try to make 10 movies, you'll maybe make 3. Maybe 3 out of those 10 actually get made. And the 3 that get made have these type of things happen around them where it's happen to get a collection. You meet this dude, a collector, who happens to live right down the street from Brett. He lives around Brett's house. Like, this guy who's the biggest collector of ABA photos in the world lives down the street from me. Like these guys, Flagstaff, the guys who had that footage, who I had been following their work for years and knew these guys already. So I had the dude's number in my phone already. So the guys who collected it, George, already had his number in my phone. So I'm like, so it was like that kind of stuff was happening. That makes me start thinking, as someone who's been in the game for 25 years now, like, oh, this might happen. This thing might happen. This soul power thing might actually happen. And it's kept being on our side. Some stories are just meant to be told.
Absolutely. Hey, fellas, let's talk about also, man, the one aspect of the movie that it's subtle but not settled, the NBA. And we know that there's a fight in a sense, like NBA, ABA didn't like each other, George Mikan over there, and obviously, he's from the NBA. But my question for you all, did you all experience some pushback from the league to get this done?
Yeah. Yes. Is the short answer. Can we move on now? Yes.
He said yes. Real quick answer. Yes, we did. Moving on.
I will say this. Yes, but a great lesson for all of us in this is that time heals, and enough time had passed. Some people who had been probably real close to that tension had passed away, rest their souls. And so when it came time to talk to them about this, they were ultimately quite supportive. And they made it very clear that we need to see this thing. We need to approve it. We need to know it exists. We need to review it. Some of that was interesting for us, like, you do need to review. Why do you need to review this? But okay.
Yep.
And we were terrified. I'm not going to lie. We were like, oh man, we're going to get so many notes back, and they're going to crush this, and they're going to crush that. And they were like, could you just, make sure that LeBron's not, wearing the right jersey and stuff like that? We're like, sure, that's it. Like, okay, great. So ultimately, that dynamic was very friendly, very amicable, and very easy to work with. And I think the other thing that I want to share is that what they did in 2022 with those recognition payments, that was not a fight that we had been in for the last 10 years. That was our friend Scott Tarter and Dropping Dimes Foundation. And it started with Mel Daniels and some Pacer guys. That culminated as we were working on this. And we saw that. And we said, we're not going to let that overwhelm the story, but what a beautiful ending to a somewhat sad story in a lot of ways. And let that be a shining light, and let that also say that even if you war with someone for a long period of time, it doesn't mean that it needs to stay that way forever. And the NBA did a great service there. And we wanted to make sure that even though there were some things, was that enough money? Should they have paid more? Should they have paid this person? We didn't want to get into any of that. We didn't want that to be begrudging or negative. We wanted it to be an overall positive end to a story that had, like all good stories do, ups and downs. Kenan, what else would you say there?
Yeah, I'll just say, the first conversation, I'll give the NBA the respect for this, is that we were expecting, when we got there, they called us with their team on the phone. After they watched it, we're expecting the worst, for them to try to cut this whole thing up. And the funny thing is, the very first person in the NBA, the first thing out of their mouth that they said is like, you guys have just made the consummate ABA documentary. Wow. This is it. If there's a history of the ABA, this is the story. You guys have just told it, that this would go in an archive for you to tell the story. This would be it. And that's how they started. So when they started with that, I knew that they had a level of awareness about production, awareness about storytelling, because they're basically storytellers too. They preserve the legacy of the NBA, part of it. And so the conversation was really respectful after that. And what their asks were pretty minimal. Like, they were very reasonable to ask. And we pushed back sometimes. They pushed back on us. But they was real reasonable. So they came into it with a mentality that was really one of kind of respect for the story that was being told. And I think that helped the story be what it is. Because if they had gone at it with a hatchet, think about, if you start reducing something that has realness to it, if you take something real and you start trying to take realness out of something, you all know that you messing with the essence of the thing. As Dr. J says, at the end of the whole series, you mess with the essence of something. You start messing with the realness. And they didn't really mess with that. And this was something I found as a filmmaker when it comes to, I worked at ESPN and with SEC networking, place where you got to get a lot of approvals.
Yep.
You're a filmmaker, you got to go at it with like this mentality. And I say this to young filmmakers, instead of putting 3 controversial things in and then trying to argue about those 3 controversial things and getting in arguments, put 100 controversial things in. That's how we did this movie. So there's 100 things in that they could have a problem with. So that when you argue about 3 and they try to take out 3, then you can sit there and push back and let them take out 2, and you keep 1. But ultimately, you got 98. There's 98 things there. That's how you got to think. You got to put it all in there. Go all in. Make it real. Wild. Don't censor yourself. Don't censor yourself. Let them take it out at the end. So we did that. We got 100 things in there that are controversial, and they took out 2.
Let me add 2 real quick. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when you guys, when they said that when they started hearing the NBA guys was, they knew about this ABA league. They even put the ABA All-Star game together against the NBA guys. Like, what?
Well, that was, one of those ones where historians or people that think they know the game, they go, whoa, those guys played against each other in the Astrodome in 1971. There's some people that actually, that's their favorite thing in the whole series. Rick Barry was like, I've never seen this before. I didn't, I remember it. I was there, I was playing, but I don't remember. It was wild because recently in Denver, it's a longer story than we have time to get into or want to get into, but recently, just in the last couple of weeks, I've met in Denver with the guy who is now 85 years old, who organized that game. And he says that was hell to put together. That was so hard to make that happen. And can you imagine? NBA guys today will barely even participate in the slam dunk contest, let alone oppose their teams, their coaches, their owners to fly to Houston to play in an unsanctioned game. Of which the Astrodome didn't look like it was all that crowded that day. There were people there, but it wasn't like, overflowing with people. And so there was just those guys, all of them, even the NBA guys, had a rebellious spirit that I think we can all learn from and grow from in a way. But man, I think that was one of those moments that was like, man, look at the risks these people were taking. Like, this was not a fight about, earning an extra million here or an extra couple million there or whatever. This was about like soul. This was about real deep stuff. Yeah. The one thing I wanted to say, and it's a little bit NBA related because he's such a great NBA steward, but we haven't even hit on enough on this, is I think for me, one of my greatest experiences with this has been learning from a true superhero. And I'm referring to Julius Erving by that. Dr. J is a superhero in human form. And I think I knew that. I had that sense for that. But we're seeing it today, 5 years after we started this project. He owed contractually like a couple of media appearances for Soul Power, like just a couple. He's done like 10 times the amount of media appearances he needed to do. And it is because he loves these people. He loves these guys. He loves this story. He is a part of this story. And even though he kind of knows he's the face of it, he's so far out in front now, helping share this story and this legacy for his brothers. It's unbelievable. And I just applaud him as as a leader for us, he does the right thing constantly, and his ability, and it gets said in the thing, he says a lot sometimes without saying the confrontational thing. He'll kind of, there was a couple of times where we had to have him sign something or whatever, and he just would give you a look. And you're like, oh man, that look is worse than anything you could have possibly said to me. But you didn't say anything. It was just you're gonna make me sign this right now? And I was like, yeah, maybe not now, maybe later. Maybe we'll do that later. But it's just the respect for him, the admiration for him, and that is why. I mean, some guy says, Pete Croatto, one of our historians, says, Dr. J walked so Michael Jordan could fly. I really believe that, and because he showed Michael and others that you could be respected by everyone in if you operated in a certain kind of way. And he set the bar for what that looked like commercially, on the court, off the court, with fans, white and black and otherwise. And I just love him for that.
Oh, Doc was the first, like, talking about smooth, together, everything. Like, Doc was a legend.
I want to be like Doc.
Time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike, it was, I want to be like Doc.
Doc, come on, let's take it real back. I was using chapstick because of Doc.
Right.
I mean, Dr. Chapstick. I remember begging my mother for some Converse Docs because I wanted the all white with the red star on it. I wanted that.
And look, it's so crazy about the sneaker game. We never even called them Converse. We called them Dr. J.
We said, you got some Docs? Y'all got some Docs? Yeah, man, I'm going to get me some Docs. I mean, that's what we called them. And fellas, I want to say this, man, because I know, our time is almost up. But I want to say this, man, to both of you guys. Thank you for doing this because you brought, to me, credibility back to what shouldn't have needed to bring back. Prior to this coming out, most people looked at the ABA as a joke. And the reason being is because of movies like Jackie Moon. They looked at that and they saw, oh, this is just entertainment. Toss up a ball and, the antics they're doing for halftime. But yet now the NBA is living the ABA's dream. I mean, in reality. And so, man, I want to thank you guys for that, man. Thank you for bringing this forth. We have two more questions for you guys. I got one. Agee has one. My question for you guys is, man, what's the takeaway? What do you want? Not just our generation, the generation behind us, the generation to come. What's the takeaway for this film that we should have?
Do you want to go first, 24K?
Yeah, I think yours is going to be better than mine. So I'll tee you up, and you can round this one out. Man, it's such a great question, and there's so many different ways to answer that. But I will say there's an analogy. I say this to my son a lot, and it really holds true to Soul Power, and that is that, if life is like driving a car, you spend most of your time looking forward, and you're looking through the windshield, and if you think about it from a size standpoint, the windshield is quite a bit larger than the rear view mirror. But you should occasionally look back. You should occasionally take a peek in that rear view mirror to see where you've come from and what might be behind you. And you should never forget that, because you shouldn't dwell there. That's unhealthy. But you should always know what came before you, maybe what shoulders you stand on, who you should have respect and appreciation for. And I think that's what Soul Power is that blend of keep looking forward and know where you are today, but don't forget the past and don't forget where you came from. That's probably my biggest takeaway from it.
Yeah.
Man, dang, I love that. Yeah, I love that. I think my biggest takeaway is probably, like, I'll go to a scene to give you the takeaway. Like, we would watch these guys together. When we do the interviews, we do it mostly, it wouldn't be one person in one day. We do 5 people. So these guys, a lot of these guys hadn't seen each other. And so when we saw these guys together, it takes me to a scene. So I'm going to go to 1994. There's a scene when you, William, are playing in the playoffs. You guys get upset and you lose, right? And you, after the game, Arthur, you're at the game. This scene affected me deeply. You come up to him and I remember you put your arm around his neck where it's just y'all two.
Yep.
And you're saying, it's okay, my boy. It's okay, my boy. You talking to him. That's brotherhood.
Yes.
That only you two could understand because you have been through this ringer together, and because you have been the spotlight and have been, had so much pressure on you. Only you two could understand what it's like. And that one moment is like, to me, the most powerful moment of a very powerful movie. That's what we saw when we saw Dr. J get together and talk to his teammates. When he's with Artist Gilmore and you see them too, there's something about the fact that they had to face this Goliath of the NBA, that nobody believed in them, that everyone thought they were a joke. Nobody thought they could play. That those ABA guys, man, there's a brotherhood there that is like, when they walk in the room, you can feel it. It's like real. We see them hug each other and dap each other up. It's real. And I think that's the part that I would like people to take away from, because I think in this day and age, it's easy to get disattached from community. From being connected. And when you see people, what they're able to accomplish because they really believed in what they were doing, they expressed themselves individually, and they had a brotherhood, they had a community. That's power. There's power in that. There's soulfulness in that. And that's what I want the takeaway to be. I want people to, it's subtle, it's there, but I want people to subconsciously feel that and understand that there's something in life that if you have that, you have something extraordinarily valuable.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Well, my last question, man, before I give it to you guys, like I said before, on Twitter, I said this should be required viewing for all AAU teams, high school basketball teams, college teams, anybody that got a dream of playing the game of basketball on any level. I don't care what era you grew up in, this should be required viewing from the head coach to the top down, implementing this into his team for them to understand why they're at the point that they're at. They don't even know they're standing on the shoulders of giants. And that need to be expressed through this film. And I think it need to be shown in that type of format through all these basketball, in this modern basketball age that we're in right now. Even though, our young kids, they real bad about understanding what came before them. They like to look at real fast clips and highlights and stuff like that. But Soul Power gives you the story of a Spencer Haywood, a Connie Hawkins, a Dr. J, of these guys who laid their foundation and were innovators in their individuality game. And that was frowned upon. For you, like you said, these guys walk so you guys can dunk right now. And I think they need to understand their research, and it needs to be required viewing for all young basketball players today. My last question I always give to the guests is, man, hey, what's the next Hoop Dreams chapter in Soul Power?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. I'm going to let you have the final word on that one, Brett. I think we have so much. Okay, so we went through the process. We own the copyright on this. So it's the first movie I've ever made where I own the copyright on it. So we, between our companies, between Truth Plus Media, Holley Films, and Hidden Pictures, we made a point of owning the copyright. And I say that to be, there could be a Soul Power too. We have so many stories. You said a name. I think you said it, Agee. You said John Brisker.
John Brisker.
His story, just in and of itself, could be a film. Like, we have so many stories that, like Brett was saying, we left on the cutting room floor. There's a lot there. There's a lot of meat on the bone. And because we went through the painstaking process along with Todd and his company, Hidden Pictures, of owning the copyright, and it was painful because you got to do more when you're on the copyright. You got to take more risk when you're on the copyright. You got to be more financially astute. We went through way more because of it. And now we have it. There's a lot left on there. So I'm going to give it to my man, Brett. He's an idea generator. So I'm going to turn it to you, Brett. What do you think?
Well, look, this is very up for discussion, and you guys have seen on social media that if there's any critique that anyone gives this, it's that, what about this story or that story or Brisker or the Utah Stars or this or that? And I don't view that as critique at all. I view that as an opportunity to discuss and learn. And I got into this awesome conversation. Ken, I haven't even told you this last night, but I started thinking a lot about Coach John McClendon last night. And what the hell happened? Why did John McClendon? Sorry, I'm riffing off for a second. I know we're not going to get cut off the air, right? We can do that on a podcast. Listen to this. Let me just tell you this story real quick. John McClendon, the first black professional sports coach, period, taught by Fog Allen, worked with Dean Smith, like truly iconic, inventor of the fast break, inventor of the full court press. I mean, we're talking about a true legend, almost from like a mythology standpoint. I was thinking about coaches last night. The ABA coach conversation is an interesting one. And I went, John McClendon was an ABA coach. How long was John McClendon an ABA coach? 28 games. He coached 28 games. He was 9-19 for the Denver Rockets in 1969. And I need to do some more research to understand exactly why. But I started talking to Spencer Haywood last night, and I said, I think I know. I think it's the same reason you left Denver, isn't it? It's because there was racism, there was a mean-spiritedness in that organization. Maybe they were not doing well financially as well, but you don't hire John McClendon and have him go 9-19 in 1969 and go, you're not cutting it. You give that man time unless there is some real deep-seated philosophical connection. And someone piped in on social media last night and said, I interviewed John McClendon in the 1990s, and he got into a disagreement over black-white issues with the Ringsby family in 1969, and that was it. And he was out. And so there's more wood to chop here for sure in terms of these kinds of stories and learnings and things that, you look at Spencer Haywood. I mean, Spencer Haywood, if he were on this call with us right now, he is as vibrant and energetic as of a person as anyone can be. And he's in his early mid 70s right now. But he's of our generations. He came from racism. He came from, the cotton fields in Mississippi and had to endure that in his professional career.
Yes.
Sorry. I'll just say there's a number of different ways we could go with Soul Power 2 or 3 or 4. And it could be features. It could be series. I don't know. I mean, we gotta figure out, most of all, it's not about just throwing a bunch of shit against a wall. It's about throwing the right things against the wall that are both soulful and spectacular and seeing what will stick. So we should talk about this more with you guys. I hope this is the beginning of a long relationship and friendship with you guys. It is as Kenan said earlier.
And tell Spencer,
it's an honor, and this is more fun than I thought it would
right
be.
now. Tell Spencer and any of them guys they want to come on the show. They are more than welcome to come on this show at any time they want.
Hey, Brett, just to let you know, my coach Luther Bedford was a student of John B. McClendon. We met him. He came to Marshall High School while I was still in high school. And, we didn't have computers back then and no way to look him up unless it was an encyclopedia book. But to see this short guy with this slick, smooth hair, and was like, Luther Bedford was just like praising this man, was like, this is the way we play because of him. And we like, what you mean? Like, I see Isaiah Thomas and Dr. J. He was like, nah, he invented all that shit. The fast break, the full court press, the diamond and one. Man, I'm like, oh, but I mean, I'm just, I always been a student of the game. I'm talking about a real, true student and a researcher of the game. And to know John B. McClendon hasn't got his due yet, that's why I posted him on Twitter last week to let people know, like, man, who is this guy? Well,
and it's people like you guys, who continue to people know Hoop Dreams, people respect Hoop Dreams, people respect the platform you've built. And then when you go, well, yeah, but there was a lot that came before us. There was John McClendon. There was Willie Wise and the Utah Stars. There were the Kentucky Colonels. They inspired us, and then we might have inspired others, and then those people inspire the next, and that's how generations persist. That's how humans continue to grow and evolve as a species. And so, I mean, for you to have said, Agee, that this could or should be required viewing. I mean, what an honor to hear that. What a sentiment. How we do it, I don't know. But I have loved seeing my kids and other kids connect with this and enjoy it. I think Kenan's kids really did, and like legitimately, not because it's like their dad, but like legitimately enjoyed it, and we're excited to watch it. And that gives me hope that these kids are not just feeling like basketball started, in 2000, but realizing it started 100 years before that. And some of it was good history and some of it was bad history, but history is history and we should learn from all of it.
Yeah.
But what it also did too was it allowed you guys, you all answered so many questions. Like, especially the one question that we always hear today, that's especially from the young people. Could those dudes play with the current dudes? And I always say, you know what? See, when they talk about that, it's the image that they throw up. They throw up that 60s NBA look. I'm looking like they ain't throwing up ABA players. So clearly that question has been answered.
Hey, one guy, I even posted his jersey on Twitter. He can, like you said, like Brisker, this guy, he was Marvin Bad News Bond.
Ooh, yes. Marvin
What?
Bond. Yeah.
They like Marvin roll up with a gun in his bag and he going out tonight and he gonna hang out and he gonna what?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but even when you think about like
a fur
Dr.
coat
J,
on.
A fur coat on.
Yeah.
But even when you think about Doc, come on, man, people don't realize this. Doc took off from the free throw line. We didn't see that again until Jordan. I mean, could they hoop with them? Absolutely. And I want to say this too, fellas. I know you guys got to go. I want to say this, man. But I do think the NBA can do more. I'm just saying this. This is my personal thought, what they can do. Like how baseball have a Jackie Robinson Day, the NBA need to have an ABA Day where every player wears an ABA jersey, and the proceeds and the sales of those jerseys go to help those players.
Like it.
Those players.
That can happen once a year. So that doesn't even fall heavy on the NBA. This is them just saying, hey, we're paying honor and homage to the guys that is birthing the game that you all see currently.
Yeah. I got to say this, guys, like, that one right there. Split that out. Yo, you guys, I got to put the Mount Rushmore of sports documentaries, the Mount Rushmore. For me, it's Last Dance, OJ Made in America, When We Were Kings. That's that Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman. When We Were Kings. And on the Mount Rushmore, every time people ask me, on the Mount Rushmore, it's Hoop Dreams.
Yes.
Hoop Dreams.
Yes.
Yeah, on the Mount Rushmore, guys. Like I said, it's an honor sitting with y'all.
I appreciate that.
Beautiful, man. Thank you, guys.
Let me just say this, man. Listen, Hoop Dreams fans, go see Soul Power. It is playing right now on Prime. Watch it, download it, see it, share it. Do all you can because it is an amazing story that is telling the history of a game that has been forgotten that shouldn't be forgotten, man.